Hello, this is the Spa Guy, and what we're going to talk about today is GFI breakers. A lot of people have issues with GFIs on their hot tubs, especially if it's a new wire. If you've just wired your hot tub up and it is tripping the breaker, meaning that is the on position, that is off position. If it trips, it'll be in the middle like that, and you'll actually hear it trip. If it's a new wire, you've just wired the hot tub up, most likely this white wire, the one that goes to the control pack, to the hot tub, is not in the right place. You can see it's actually on the breaker right here. There's even a white dot. A lot of times your electrician doesn't know any better. He'll put it down here on the neutral part of the system, and if he does that, this breaker will not set. If you simply move it from there to here, breaker will set, boom, you're back in business. Another thing that'll happen is you get a breaker trip and it keeps happening. This test button can get stuck down. That's unusual, but it can happen. I've been to them where the test button was actually stuck in. The purpose of the test button is you have it set, you push that in, it simulates a short to neutral, or a short from neutral to ground, or short from neutral to hot, and it'll make the breaker trip to let you know that the GFI portion of it is working and it is safe. The way this thing is wired is from the house. You have a 50 amp. This is normal stuff. And let me also say this. I'm not telling you you have local codes in some places that would be different as far as the way, the configuration, the distances and that kind of stuff, but the basic wiring is going to be the same. Consult your local codes to make sure that you're wiring it correctly, but what I'm showing you is a basic overview of normal hot tub GFI wiring. So 50 amp breaker would be normal. This is 6'3" wire with the ground. This is your two hots, black and red, and I did a big ground wire so you could see it real good instead of a normal copper wire. That would hook to the ground, this would hook to the neutral part, and sometimes that's the same in older breaker boxes. It would go to here. Inside here, that's your incoming neutral wire from here. This goes to here, ground, and I even hooked the ground bar up from the neutral to ground. So these are all tied together. Basically, neutral and ground are the same on the house side of the GFI. On the spa side is where it changes. You've got the curly wire right here that actually goes to the neutral part of the GFI breaker, and that goes to here. So basically the curly wire hooks to this wire inside the box. Then you have red and black that go over here to the spa pack, and you can see it actually shows neutral, black, red. That neutral right there is this neutral wire that actually comes off of the breaker. So all three of the big wires that run from the breaker to the pack are all on the same, basically come off of the breaker, and then ground goes to ground. The other thing is there's some hot tubs, some brands, Jacuzzi Premium, Sundance, Keys Backyard, Vita Spa, and there's others that don't actually use the neutral wire. Some local codes require you to have a GFI breaker, even though the GFI breaker is not going to work as a GFI, it's going to work as a regular breaker. But sometimes it's required, but it's not going to work as a GFI. Another thing is, if you have voltage in the water, if you ever put your finger in the water and you feel voltage, there's only a couple of ways that can happen. In order to get voltage in the water, you have to have two things wrong at the same time. One case would be if I was to take this ground wire right here off in the breaker box in the house, it would put voltage out on this white wire, and it would actually put voltage in the tub through the heater, through the neutral, because this actually tries to reconcile itself back to ground. If there is no ground, it reconciles itself to the water. So that would be one way. Another way would be you would have to have, if that can't be correct, if that was correct, if it was wired correctly, the breaker would trip in this other instance. Another instance would be you've got an ozonator with a bad check valve and there's water in the ozonator. It will actually put voltage in the water, but it should trip the breaker. If it doesn't trip the breaker, then you've got something else wrong. So that's why I say there has to be two things wrong to put voltage in the water, with the exception of if you leave a ground off. If you leave a ground off, it will not normally be full voltage. It won't be 125 volts. It'll be 75 volts or 40 volts, something like that. So just look for it that way. So this is your basic overview of GFI breakers. I am the Spa Guy, and check out the website, and we're going to teach you about hot tubs.